Braves start their final stretch of 17 of 20 games on the road in beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. That's right, the Braves are inside Tropicana Field. Game 1 of 2 interleague matchups with the suddenly surging Tampa Bay Rays. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome back to the ballpark. Our first look at the Tampa Bay Rays. Joe, a club that is steadily making improvements in the American League East. Thankfully, right now, they're not playing the Yankees or the Red Sox, but they've got to contend with the first-place Braves tonight.
Yeah, when you lose the likes of an Evan Longoria playing every day at third base, there's not a whole lot expected of you. And then when you start the season, your first 10 games are against the Red Sox and the Yankees, and you don't play very well there after winning opening day. All of a sudden, those expectations really drop. But the Rays have really come back strong. They've won 10 of their last 14 ball games. They're scoring more runs, and more importantly, they're pitching better. Their ERA has dropped over 2 runs a game, and they've cut down on their walks. They're still not hitting a lot of home runs, but that doesn't seem to matter much anyway, the way these guys have been pitching.
Well, the Tampa Bay Rays look to the Atlanta Braves as an organization they would like to model. They'd like to get a new ballpark. They'd like to build a strong farm system like Atlanta has. And if you look at tonight's matchup, 2 pitchers that pitch very similarly. Blake Snell for Tampa Bay and Sean Newcomb, who's been absolutely great on the road for Atlanta.
Yeah, if it says anything about their organizations, the Braves and the Rays, neither one have faced these starting pitchers tonight. These guys have worked their way to the big leagues. Sean Newcomb is really discovering who he is, and he's been outstanding. You're seeing work from his 7 innings of 2-hit shutout ball against the Mets in his last outing. He's using his changeup more, and it's been much more effective for him to make his fastball get by some people. 2-0 on the road, outstanding ERA, and he's 5th best in the National League in strikeouts per 9 innings. I think you'll see both of these starting pitchers tonight, Blake Snell included for the Rays, be using their fastball. Snell's got 4 good pitches. We'll see how this turns out tonight, but no easy task for Atlanta hitters.
A lot of left-handed compliments are coming your way on Fox tonight. It's the Braves and the Rays. And speaking of left-handed compliments, what a story here in St. Pete. Former Brave Johnny Venters is in the big leagues with Tampa Bay, and Paul Bird visits with him when we come right back.
Braves here at Tropicana Field, everybody. A lot of palm trees outside, a lot of action going on inside. In case you missed it, on April 25th, former Braves All-Star Johnny Venters returned to the big leagues after a 6-year layoff. It was a very extremely emotional comeback where he throws a nice slider, gets an out, gets a few more outs here, has not given up a run yet. The glove comes off the mound, makes a great play. I have never seen so many people so excited for this young man. As you can see, coming back, the 3 Tommy John surgeries. Coming back after 2, you only have a 20% success rate coming back. He's come back 3, also had a ligament transposition. I was able to catch up with him earlier, and here's his thoughts on how difficult that return was.
Each time presented a different challenge, and I think probably the hardest time was after the 3rd surgery failed, because I was with the Rays and we put in a lot of time and took it really slow, and my arm felt great the whole time, and I got to pitch in 4 games, and it just kind of it went south quick, and that one was a tough one to swallow. And I took some time before I made a decision to do it again. But once I made that decision, I tried to work as hard as I could.
Really nice when he got here in the dugout and all the reporters ran over to him. He was all smiles. I think we can see from that interview the way he pitched, lights out. Everybody was pulling for him. Not so much an incredible pitcher as well as he is an even better person. Everybody very happy to see him back in the big league. So Warner Chronery now, we want the Braves to win. We like Johnny Venters. We can pull for both of them. Braves Rays coming up next.
Game 1 of a 2-game interleague set. Braves trying to get back in the win column, looking for victory number 20 after being swept at home by the San Francisco Giants. Some subtle changes for Brian Snitker's starting 9. Of course, the DH is in play, and former Ray Jose Bautista will serve as the Braves' designated hitter. Ender Inciarte is going to bat behind Bautista in the starting 9, and Charlie Culberson gets the start at third base with a real tough left-hander on the mound. That left-hander's name is Blake Snell.
Blake Snell is 25 years old, 6'5", 200 pounds, out of Seattle, and lately unhittable. His last 5 starts, 4-0, 189 ERA, a sub-200 average against him. Left-handers are only hitting 119 against him, right-handers 219. Throws hard, fastball in the mid-90s, changeup, slider, curveball, 4-pitch guy. He'll use any of them in any count, and he's very good at getting ahead in the count typically.
And this will be a fun matchup right out of the gate for Ozzie Albies. Leads off. He's shredded left-handed pitching all year. And the first from Snell is roped into center field. A great way to start the road trip. One pitch, one hit, and we're underway at the Trop.
Only a couple of guys had a good homestand. Ozzie was one, Markakis was the other. What better way to kind of get that bad taste out of your mouth, that's 3-game sweep at the hand of the Giants, than to get off to a good start in the first inning.
Which has been a very productive inning for the Braves this year. Atlanta has scored 36 opening inning runs this year. In fact, they scored in the first inning all 3 games against the Giants. Let's see if Acuna can move Albies along. Ronald was 2 for 12 back at SunTrust. And that missed outside, says Phil Cuzzy. He's got the plate here in game 1. Acuna, .326 average, 2 homers. And Snell missed with that outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Snell's last start was a good one too. 6 2/3 innings at Detroit, got a no decision, only 2 runs allowed.
And he's won 4 in a row. Braves trying to snap that streak here tonight. Pitch is lifted to the right side and just underneath the third catwalk here at Tropicana Field. And the count to Acuna, 2 balls and a strike.
This guy's been amazing here in his home ballpark. 2-0, 0-95.
Bingo.
Thank you. 19 innings. He's only allowed 3 hits in 19 innings at home.
Albies took care of the no-hitter with the first pitch of the game. 2 balls and a strike. And that's down the right field line, slicing and down by the Rays bullpen, which is in foul territory here. Carlos Gomez couldn't catch up, and the count to Acuna even at 2-2.
Great triples park. Of course, with the turf, it's going to shoot through the gaps. 404 to straightaway center. But if you hit one in the gap, you can run a long time here.
Johnny Field swung way around toward right. If Acuna can pull one to the left center field gap, it'll get real exciting real quick. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Instead to first. Snell ready. Here comes his next 2-2 pitch. And fouled away. You said 4 pitches. Does he have an out pitch, or is he a kitchen sink guy, depending on the count?
It's all 4. They're all 4 good pitches, and he's really come into his own this year after being a supplemental pick in the first round in 2011. 52nd player taken in the draft out of Shoreline High School in Seattle.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Runner goes, and the ball in the dirt. Throw to second is going to be way late. Sucre had no chance. And Acuna swung to protect the base runner, and he is struck out. So Acuna is going to be the first out of the inning. Freeman's going to stand in with a runner at second.
Good jump by Ozzie. And it looked like Acuna was trying to check his swing here. Oh my.
Wow.
First base umpire is Adam Hamari, who rang him up. That appeared to be an overzealous call there.
So a tough break for Acuna. That brings up Freeman, who's hitting .452 this year with runners in scoring position. And he launches the first pitch. Out of play, a strike.
There's a side swing on Acuna. No. Stop that swing.
Freddie was 2 for 12 against the Giants back at home. And took a good breaking ball.
Snell got some time in last year. 5-7, 4 ERA. A lot like Sean Newcomb.
The 0-2 pitch. And it's rolled over, but foul. Well, it may surprise you that last year the Tampa Bay Rays in the American League East won 80 games. They won on the final day of the season, the 1,500th victory in the history of the Rays franchise, which this year celebrates its 20th anniversary. And they're starting action tonight just 2 games under 500, but 9 games out of first. Freddie will see another 0-2 pitch. Maltby's a good lead. Here it is. And Freddie checked his swing and is still alive.
Next 3 guys in the order have great numbers against left-handed pitching this year. Freddie hitting .297 with a couple of homers. Markakis .415 with a couple of homers. Suzuki .389 with a homer. And that doesn't include Albies, who's already got a base hit tonight.
He's 17 for 35 against lefties now. Good at bat for Freeman. Let's see if he can keep it alive here. Behind him the count, 1-2. Snell with a long look in. Finally, he has a sign that he likes. Chopper bounced foul. Joe, talk to me from a hitter's perspective. The challenges playing in a dome in the very first or second innings in game 1 of a series.
First of all, it's funny about the noise. You know, it's not an open air stadium and the noise just stays right here on top of you. Unfortunately, it's a night game, so you don't have to deal with a real bright white background if you're an outfielder or infielder on a pop-up. But they have an excellent hitter's eye. Dark wall back there in center field. Ought to be able to pick the ball up pretty well.
1-2 pitch. And Freddie didn't get it. Ball drops. Sucre will apply the tag. Freeman thought he tipped it. Phil Cuzzy said no. And Brian Snitker's going to pop out. Freeman's not ready to leave the left-hand batter's box. Freeman thought he tipped this ball, did he?
Hard to tell from that replay.
Let's see if we can hear contact off the bat.
Freddie was ready to dig back in. He felt good about it. At the very least, Phil Cuzzy could have asked for some help. See if Tom Hallion saw or heard anything. Boy, that's 2 hitters this inning that are going down on strikeouts that are very, very, very questionable.
Yeah, we're not sure if they were strikes. So it's up to Markakis to keep the inning alive. Markakis had his long hitting streak interrupted. 12 of 13 for Nick, who leads the National League in hitting at .344. The pitch.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Only Freddie could have felt it.
1 ball, no strikes. Takes it on a play, even count. Let's take a look at our landmark Always Best Always feature. The Braves, as Joe mentioned, have feasted against left-handed pitching.
C.J. Cron in the lineup for Tampa Bay at first base, batting second, also with terrific numbers.
Snell ready with his 18th pitch of the inning. And that skied out a play foul. Nick Markakis, of course, played so many years with the Baltimore Orioles, so this ballpark should not be at all odd for him. He's played a lot of games here. This is his 97th, as a matter of fact. Here at Tropicana Field. And now he's behind 1-2. The pitch. Breaking ball line, and caught at second by Robertson, who made a leaping grab. Markakis squared it up, but Robertson robbed him, and Snell survives the first inning, stranding Ozzie Albies at second base. Markakis is red hot, robbed here in the first, and now Sean Newcomb to work in a scoreless game in St. Pete. His third win, Joe, and like Mr. Snell of Tampa Bay, Mr. Newcomb's on a very impressive run.
Yeah, if anything about his last start is worth remembering, it's all of it, because he was outstanding. Only one walk. Man, that was terrific. That goes back to his start in Colorado, where he didn't walk anybody, and 8 strikeouts. And as I said, he's beginning to figure out who he is and how good he is. His 4 keys to pitching success: number 1 tonight, early strikes. These guys don't have a big slugging percentage, but they do walk. They've got a good on-base percentage. Get ahead of them in the count. And 9 hitters. This is the DH league. You don't have a pitcher to go to at the bottom of the order.
This is Carlos Gomez, who takes inside, ball 1. Your point about first pitch strike so important. In that game for Sean against the Mets, he threw strike 1 to 21 of the first 24 hitters he saw. The Mets were swinging 0-1, 0-2 an awful lot in that game up in New York, and they were shut out for the first time by Sean Newcomb and the Braves in that game. Gomez couldn't stop himself. He's behind. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Strikeouts are a big problem for Gomez. He has already struck out 43 times, roughly 1 out of every 3 plate appearances. And he's leading off. And he's down swinging here to start the game for Newcomb. 1 away. Kevin Cash is the skipper of the Tampa Bay Rays. And here's his starting lineup. A lot of new faces for them here in 2018. One of them is C.J. Cron, their first baseman. Matt Duffy came over in the Evan Longoria deal. Robertson, Echeverria, the former Florida Marlin. Rob Refsnyder's in left. Johnny Field is in center field. And Crone, like Newcomb, a former Angel. Wonder if they crossed paths in the early days.
Probably did, especially in spring training. Crone's put up good numbers. The last 3 consecutive seasons for the Angels, he hit 16 homers.
Seven homers this year, 5 of them in the last 13 games for Tampa Bay. And the 1-1 pitch from Newcomb stays outside, ball 2. Much different look for the Rays. Evan Longoria, we saw him with the Giants. Steven Souza's in Arizona. Corey Dickerson no longer here. Logan Morrison no longer here. So year after year, Joe, the Rays find a way to shuffle their roster, stay alive economically, and as we saw last year and this year, they put a relatively competitive team on the field here.
And to do that, you got to have a good farm system. You got to keep spitting out good players, like Blake Snell, for example.
Outfield straight up for Crone. The pitch is hit toward right. Markakis to his right. The ball curls right back to him. And Crone's retired for the second out.
Well, despite their slow start and being able to bounce back, including an 8-game winning streak, they're only a -2 on the run differential. They've only been outscored by a total of 2 runs in all their games. So while they don't hit a lot of home runs, they put guys on base, as I said, and they're hitting pretty well with men in scoring position.
Ball 1 to Matt Duffy, the former Giant.
There's a change up, good spot. Didn't get a swing, but it was in a good place.
2 balls, no strikes. Duffy had a 12-homer year for the Giants in 2015. He's hit 1 this year. He's been plagued with some hamstring problems.
Turf will do that to you, even though they have a dirt portion of their infield here.
That missed inside. 3 balls and a strike. Last year, Duffy was the Rays' shortstop after they got him from the Giants. He wasn't part of the Longoria deal. I misspoke. That was the deal that sent Matt Moore to San Francisco. "27 years young." And that one shot down the right field line, but foul. The answer to an interesting trivia question: who finished second to Chris Bryant in the Rookie of the Year voting? It's this guy.
Well, he hit the major league scene with a splash with the Giants at a time when they really needed a third baseman.
That's downstairs, and Newcomb issues a 2-out walk to Duffy. And here's Wilson Ramos.
Arguably the hottest hitter in the American League, Wilson Ramos. 14-game hitting streak.
The longest hitting streak by a Rays catcher in their franchise history. He's the DH tonight with impressive numbers. And fouled straight back. Steve, right 1 to Wilson Ramos.
Had great numbers in Washington. Braves saw a lot of him when he was with the Nationals, and then suffered a knee injury, and that really hurt his case as a free agent.
Little chopper hit toward short, and Camargo plenty of time to get Ramos, and Newcomb has a scoreless Bottom of the first inning. Kurt Suzuki leads off for Atlanta. We're just underway here in St. Pete.
Got everybody out to Tropicana Field early to take some ground balls. Specifically, he said this turf is high and it will cause the ball to stop and check up. So he says don't take anything for granted. If you have a smash at you, don't worry about it. It will slow the ball down. This ceiling is tough to play. He said, guys, once you pick up the ball, you cannot take your eyes off the ball. So you have to know where you are at all times and be ready. Back to you.
That's a great point, Paul, about in the outfield, not taking your eyes off the ball. Track it the whole way.
Kurt Suzuki leads off and takes a strike. Paul, before we continue on, congratulations in order to Paul Bird. Nominated for a Southeastern Regional Emmy for his sideline reporting work for us with the Braves. So, Birdie, congratulations.
Congratulations, Paul, and no surprise to us.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. That means a lot to me. I don't take it lightly, and I appreciate you guys pitching to me so much, or I don't think I would have that chance. We've got a great Fox truck and good thing going. So there'll be a lot of thanks given out if I win it, and if I don't, I'll still be thankful. So appreciate it, guys.
Okay, now we go out to center field and see what they serve for dinner out there.
Ball left side, scooped up, and the throw across in time by Duffy. That takes care of Kurt Suzuki. 1 out.
Well played.
One more point about the infield turf. This is unlike the, I guess, carpeted floor mats that you might have at your house. It's like individual little blades of grass.
Yeah.
Very soft, very feathery. And they use the ground up automobile tires as the surface underneath the grass-like turf. And they can actually manicure it depending on who's pitching, as Jose Bautista bats.
But it's so much different than the old tartan turf or astroturf, if you remember those and how hard those became. They'd get flat. This is more grass-like in the truest sense. So Ronnie's right, Ronnie Washington, in that it will check up. It'll actually slow down a little bit if it stays on the turf.
Jose Bautista, a former Ray, is behind 0-2. And skips up there.
But I also remember this same turf and B.J. Upton hitting a one-hop shot off the shin of Chipper Jones, who was playing about even with the turf. And that created the biggest bruise, ugliest bruise I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, with all due respect, Paul, I'm sure Chipper would say the ball didn't check up and the ball did not slow down. And the only thing that saved Chipper in that game, ball hit by B.J. Upton, by the way, was he had his sock rolled over, 1 extra fold that lessened the blow somewhat. And it was nasty. 2-2. And Bautista checked his swing, full count.
Well, like Markakis, Bautista's also played a ton of games here. he ought to be well versed in what it takes to play here and be able to pass that along.
Well, how about a home run from a Braves DH in interleague play? Pitch is outside. They'll take a walk instead. Did you know last year the Braves designated hitters did not hit a home run? Not one.
I don't remember a history of good DH play.
There's 16 home runs in interleague play history by the Braves designated hitters versus the AL. So a rare walk for Snell. Comes with one out. It brings up Ender Inciarte, who's moved up from the 9 spot to the 7 spot tonight for the Braves.
I wonder if that's because you got a left-handed pitcher tonight, and maybe thinking that Charlie Culberson could have a chance to get on base more often in the 9 spot than Ender, who's having a lot of trouble with lefties.
Ender's hitting 148 against them. But what's most unlike Ender is he's 0 for 15. His average back down to 254 for the year. One ball, no strikes. Short lead by Bautista here in the second. And he didn't get it. Ball 1, strike 1. Braves have scored 10 runs in their last 4 games. That is a far cry from the high-flying offensive tallies that we saw at the end of the previous road trip.
Has Ender had that ear flap all the way down? It looks unusual on him, and maybe it's because it's a road trip helmet. Haven't seen him in a road trip helmet in a few days, but I don't remember him wearing it. Maybe it's just become one of those things where you're beginning to get used to it. Don't think twice about it anymore, but might be different for him. But need to get him going. 0 for his last 15.
Johan Camargo waits on deck, as Joe said. Charlie Culberson's the 9th place hitter. Atlanta got a leadoff single from Ozzie Albies on the game's first pitch, left him stranded at second. Markakis hit the ball on a line to second and was retired. The 1-2 count. And Ender didn't get a fastball. There's that 96-mile-an-hour heat. Upper reaches of the strike zone, and Snell has 3 strikeouts so far tonight.
Exactly right, Chip. Right at the top of the zone, maybe a little out of the zone. Tough to lay off. A little bit of that swing had a little bit of heels in it. Weight was back and all hands. There wasn't a whole lot of waiting on it.
Let's see if Camargo can get going. He's 1 for 12 against lefties. And way outside, Sucre with a nice grab. 1 ball, no strikes. Baker Snell has a big advantage first time through the order. Not many Braves have seen him. As Camargo pokes that one back to the screen for an even count. Righties have had a better run of luck against Snell, but that's not saying an awful lot. They're hitting just .219 against him. The lefties .119. So far this year, the pitch. It stayed high, 2-1.
He's a slender guy, but he's tall. He's 6'5". He throws downhill. He's a guy none of us really had heard much about, but he's one of the hottest pitchers in the game. Not just because he's been fortunate enough to win, because of his ERA at 189 over his last 5 games. Good hook.
Was it ever? 2-2. You can throw that pitch behind him the count that effectively. Boy, what a weapon. He's back in the count. Bautista at first, 2 outs, 2-2 pitch. We're through that one, full count. So Batista will get a head start.
Second full count. Remember the other one, check swing.
When Acuna was rung up, and can't believe that. Boy, that changed the inning dramatically. So let's see what we see on a 3-2 pitch. There's Batista running. The pitch is skied toward right. Gomez going back, slowing now, and shy of the track makes the play. And that retires the side. Atlanta's left a pair of runners through 2 scoreless innings. A temperature of 85 degrees is not the issue. It's beautiful, comfortable, 72 or thereabouts inside for Kevin Cash and his Rays, who are 8-8 so far on their home turf.
The youngest manager in baseball, just a few months younger than Andy Green of San Diego. Cash is 40 years old.
Already a lot of gray hair. So you want to be a big league manager? Go get him. As Daniel Robertson leads off the second, he's the Rays' second baseman. How about that hook? Newcomb's got all of his pitches working early on. 0-2 for Robertson.
Robertson made a great play in the first inning to rob Markakis of a hit, save a run. Versatile player, can play just about anywhere on the field.
And fouled back. The Rays acquired Robertson from the A's in a 5-player deal in January of 2015. He was a supplemental first-round pick by Oakland and was on his way to UCLA before Oakland signed him. 1-2 pitch is banged foul. Tampa Bay got Robertson with John Jaso, Boog, Powell, and Cash for Yunel Escobar and Ben Zobrist.
It's a big deal.
And the 1-2 pitch.
Oh,
because he flinched. Newcomb can't believe he didn't get the call. I think Robertson thought he struck out too.
Robertson was leaning ready to head to the dugout. Oh boy.
2-2. That's full.
Got to regroup.
missed badly there, so second walk for Newcomb in as many innings. This one, though, a leadoff pass. And here's Adeiny Echeverria, the former Marlins shortstop. Off to a .260 start with a couple of homers, 13 knocked in.
But like the team, he's been swinging a lot better since the beginning of the season. Hitting over 300 his last 2 weeks.
Newcomb's thrown strike one to half of the first 6 hitters he's faced. And Echeverria didn't get that. 1 ball, 1 strike. Echeverria signed through the end of this 2018 season out of Santiago de Cuba. And he was able to get back home for the first time since defecting in 2009 this past offseason. Pitch out at the plate. It's 1-2.
Well, he was certainly a valuable asset to the Marlins. Terrific shortstop. They didn't need him to do a whole lot of hitting. But when JT Riddle came along, they had some options at shortstop. And then Riddle got hurt.
1-2. Lifted foul. Freddie will give chase, but won't have a play. All the talk of the Marlins unloading their big name outfield this offseason. Well, their breakdown really began last year when they traded Echeverria on June 26th. 77 games with the Rays. Hit .257. Originally was a Toronto Blue Jay. You might recall he was part of that gigantic deal with the Jays and Marlins. Mark Burley and Jose Reyes and Jake Marisnick and company. A little chopper hit toward third. Culberson, all or nothing play. Picked it up with a bare hand, but can't do anything with it. So a turf hit for Echeverria has 2 aboard and nobody out.
You know, Charlie had to charge this ball, the high chopper, and he got the glove on it, scooped it up in the air, no play. He had to come up with it cleanly in order to have a chance. And that's why this ballpark, another one of those parks where you can't walk a bunch of guys, that leadoff walk especially.
And here's a former Braves farmhand, Jesus Sucre. 2 on, nobody out for the Tampa Bay catcher. And that's high. Braves signed Sucre as a free agent in 2005. He was in the Atlanta organization until July of 2011. And he went to Seattle and then to the Rays in a cash deal in February of last year. The pitch is lined foul. Ball 1, strike 1.
Always known as a catch and throw guy. Good arm. Hitting .281 in his opportunities so far this year.
Newcomb's next is bounced foul again. Strikeout here would be very helpful. We've got Rob Refsnyder waiting on deck. Refsnyder's had trouble with lefties. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And into the seats. Did you see the ball boy there trying to make a heroic play? Was leaning over the bullpen bench into the stands trying to make that catch.
I heard they were signing with the players.
To short. Second one. On to first. Double play. That's even better than the strikeout. A sweet twin killing, if you will. Runner at third for Refsnyder and 2 out. Refsnyder hitting a .185. And 3 for 20 against left-handed pitching. And Newcomb pitch around the leadoff walk. He's had a good hook tonight. Strike one.
Obviously, Kevin Cash going with the matchup righty versus lefty, but Refsnyder's only 3 for 20 against left-handed pitching, while Denard Span's on the bench, and he's having a good year against lefties. Left-handed hitter.
Bouncing ball to first. Freddie's got it on a high hop, and Newcomb does pitch around the leadoff walk. A double play and a ground out sends us to inning number 3. Still no score. Georgia Lottery by the All-South Highway Safety Team. The All-South Highway Safety Team reminds you to play it safe by always wearing your seatbelt. And by Old Dominion, the official freight carrier of Major League Baseball. Chip and Joe with you from St. Pete. Beautiful day here in Central Florida. I guess you call this Central Western Florida, I suppose. On the Gulf Coast side of the state, just a gorgeous afternoon. Comfortable weather inside as the Braves and Rays meet in Game 1. Charlie Culberson gets the start tonight at third base, and he takes ball 1 from Blake Snell, who's allowed 1 hit and 1 walk and has struck out 3.
That 9 spot comes into play just like it did at home when we're in the National League play, where the pitcher was batting 8th. Gotta get out ahead of the leadoff man.
Two balls, 1 strike. Good breaking ball. Snell has allowed 5 hits or fewer in 11 straight starts. He's given up 1 hit to the Braves through the first 2 innings. This one's hammered toward right. And in the corner, Gomez has it, foul ground, and there's the first out. There's a pretty good amount of foul ground here at Tropicana Field, much of that necessitated by the bullpens, which are in play. This might be the last stadium where the bullpens are in the foul territory in the major leagues that I can think of.
AT&T.
That's right, San Francisco. Beg your pardon.
Let's see what he throws in first pitch here. You know, the scouting report was something along the lines of first pitch fastball hitter, and that's what he did leading off the game.
And he was looking for the breaking ball but fouled it away. Smart approach by Albies. With that first inning hit, extended his streak to 5 games in a row with a safety. 7 hits in those 5 games for the Braves. And way outside, ball 1, strike 1. Ozzie first in our league in runs, total bases, multi-hit games, doubles, and extra base hits. Now the 2-1 pitch is stroked to third and right at Duffy, who is near the line. Braves have a couple of atom balls, but not much else to show for it. 2 outs. And here's Acuna. Ronald out on that controversial check swing strikeout when Albies stole second base.
That was an inning changer.
Instead of 2 on, nobody out in front of Freeman. It was a runner at second, 1 out. Then Freddie struck out. Markakis lined out.
It was his 10th strikeout in his 50th plate appearance.
Lee had the toughest luck of all in the first 2 games for the Braves against the Giants. 0 for his first 8, but 6 of those 8 balls were batted with an exit velocity over 100 miles an hour. Trying to launch that one, didn't get it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Snell's got 2 breaking balls. He's got the slow curve and that slider, that back foot slider, and that was a good pitch.
Pitch number 52 coming up for Acuna. Base is empty. The 2-2 offering is a full count. After that 0 for 8, Acuna picked up 2 hits in 4 at bats on Sunday afternoon. Another 3-2. Swing and a drive. That ball is walloped way out of here. A long home run for Acuna. It's 1-0 Atlanta. Listen to all the Braves fans here in St. Pete. 3rd Acuna homer, and no doubt about it, missile to left field.
Look how long he waited on that. He kept his hands back. Watch this. It is so pretty to see somebody who's got that kind of bat speed and how long they can wait.
Exit velocity 108.5 miles an hour for Acuna. And the Braves strike first here in the 3rd inning. A 2-out home run deep into the seats in left.
It's not very deep to left center, only 370, but that one was out of any ballpark anywhere. Up on that walkway between the 2 sections.
Now Freeman top hand hooks a shot to right field.
Second time through the order.
So a rare hit allowed by Snell to a left-handed batter. That is only the 6th hit by a lefty against him all year.
Well, that was well up out of the zone, too.
Nick Markakis leads the league in hits with 45 of them. Braves have 3 so far tonight and a strike. Snell has only given up his 3rd earned run on his home mound this year, thanks to Acuña's homer. The pitch is lifted towards center. Field is there, and he makes the play to retire the side. Ronald Acuña Jr. has hit his first home run in Tampa St. Pete. He went down and got it and launched it. Home run number 3 in that young man's career, and it puts the Braves in front 1-0. Acuña took care of that with a mammoth solo home run with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. And now Sean Newcomb goes to the hill leading 1-0 with the 9-1-2 hitters coming up for Tampa Bay. This is Johnny Field, their center fielder.
What a great name for an outfielder.
That's it for a strike. Yeah, you wouldn't want to have a last name like Clank or Butcher. I mean, those are not good defensive player names. But Field certainly fits the bill for the Rays. He's hitting .265 on the year. Cue shot hit foul at first. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Another good changeup. If you walk that leadoff guy in an inning, it certainly leads, generally speaking, to a lot of pitches. He got the double play, and that helped cut into it last inning.
2-2. Last 5 games, Newcomb a 2.37 ERA. 4th lowest ERA in that stretch of any pitcher in the game. He's rolling. And he should get a little help here from Camargo, who gets rid of it quickly. And Field is retired, 1 man down. Back to the top. Here's Gomez. He struck out to start the game. .44 strikeouts for Carlos this year. He is not getting cheated.
No, he's not up there to walk.
Nope.
He's a leadoff guy who's striking out by the hands full. Will not take a walk. 5 walks against 44 strikeouts. An on-base percentage of .256. And leading up. I don't know either.
Yo, too. Fell back to the screen. It's kind of scary when we look at each other when you say those numbers, and both of us have our, well, in your case, eyebrows raised, my eyebrow raised. What the heck is that? How can he be leading off?
Him and Cash knows something we don't.
Yep. Well, we know Gomez can strike out. He's done it twice. Newcomb has 2 in total. And here's C.J. Crone. Crone flat out to right. He was originally a catcher, but tore his labrum in the shoulder, and then they moved him to first base. And as Joe said, he's been a very consistent guy, 16 homers. I would think in this park, Joe, if he could play every day and stay healthy, 16 might be, shall we say, the low number you'd expect out of this guy?
Yeah, I would. Last 3 years, 16 homers, 51 RBIs, then 16 and 69, 16 and 56. First round pick in 2011 by the Angels. Out of the University of Utah. First player in that school's history to be drafted in the first round.
2 balls, no strikes. Pretty pitch, 2-1.
He went from a 44th round pick out of high school in Arizona to a first rounder. He did pretty well.
And to the second deck, off to our right. 2-2 for Crone.
And they didn't get him till February of this year for a player to be named later. So that was a good pickup. They lost Logan Morrison to free agency. Needed somebody to play first.
I'm guessing that was because of Ohtani. When the Angels won the Ohtani sweepstakes, needed a roster spot, so rather than let him languish at AAA or ride the bench, he gets a chance to play every day here. And this one's hit in the air towards center. Ender on the run is going to get there. And Newcomb has a 1-hit shutout through 3 innings, and he leads 1-0 thanks to Acuña's homer.
No matter where you serve or when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
1-0 Atlanta after 3 innings. Kurt Suzuki will lead off against Blake Snell. 3 hits for the Braves: Albies, Acuna, and Freeman. They're batting first, second, and third on the lineup card tonight. Kurt carries a 5-game hitting streak into play today. He rolled out his first time up. Downstairs from Snell, and the 4th inning's underway with ball 1. This year, the way the interleague schedule rolls around, it's East versus East. The Braves have the AL Eastern clubs to contend with. The Red Sox and Yankees have the most wins in Major League Baseball at this point. Toronto's at 19-16, Tampa Bay 15-17, Baltimore 8-26.
Really, I mean, there's some surprising teams that are playing well, and Baltimore surprises me in terms of how poorly they're playing.
3-0 for Kurt. He takes a strike. That awful start by Baltimore has led to some speculation. Are they going to start tearing that team apart? And Adam Jones would be a very attractive candidate. Manny Machado, a bidding free agent or budding free agent. As that one smoked to third again. Duffy to his left. And Suzuki can't believe it. Braves have hit 3 rockets in this game and have nothing to show for them. Albies, Suzuki, and Markakis.
Well, that was a very typical Kurt Suzuki rocket.
Here's Bautista. Jose walked in the second. Again, a former Ray. In fact, there were a lot of folks who thought he might end up being a Tampa Bay Ray. He lives in this area full time.
Maybe that's why he got some boo birds when he stepped in tonight, because maybe they were hoping he would come back.
Well, he's been here before. He played 12 games with the Rays back in 2004. That was a year that saw Jose spend time with 5 different organizations in one season. Baltimore, Tampa, Kansas City, New York, and Pittsburgh. And he made his way to Toronto, and that changed his life and frankly changed things for the Toronto organization too. So far he's off to a 3-for-10 start at the plate for Atlanta. It is the DH. The pitch is low. He walks again. So Snow wants no part of Bautista in the early going. He's walked him twice, and that brings up Ender. Kyle Snyder, the Rays pitching coach, is on his way out to settle down his young left-hander.
They have the youngest manager. Kevin Cash is 40. They have the newest and youngest pitching coach in Kyle Snyder, who's also 40 and takes over for Kevin Hickey, who went to the Cubs. Snyder is 6 years younger than the next oldest pitching coach. I was just looking out at above left field, above the stands, how they've got their pennants hung up out there. That's a nice display for the Rays, the way they do it. There they are. If the Braves did that with their Atlanta championships, you could be drapes around SunTrust Park.
Circle the stadium, right? You know, that's pretty impressive set of flags, considering the division they play in and the economic challenges that they have down here. I mean, it's not an easy sell here at Tropicana Field when you go toe-to-toe with the Yankees and Red Sox, and you've made the playoffs that frequently in the last 10 years. That's pretty impressive.
It's a good World Series with the Phillies they had.
Terrific. With Joe Madden, their skipper. The pitch get it. 0-2 the count. Might have got a little piece of that ball. Under struck out in the second. 0 for his last 16. Tough assignment to break out against this guy, Blake Snell.
No question. That looked like a little better balance, a little more weight on the balls of his feet.
Two. Serve toward left. Ref Snyder's coming on. He's going to get there. And Ender's retired for the second out. Braves doing a good job of pushing up the pitch count of Snell. He's up to 73 of them. He's not out of the fourth yet. Johan lined out to right. That ended the Braves' second. 1-0 thanks to an Acuna homer.
Johan hit the ball hard his first time up. Had a good swing at that one. But he came in 1 for 12 right-handed.
0-1. Short lead at first for Bautista. And on a play again, 0-2. Johan's getting the run of starts with Dansby Swanson on the disabled list. Dansby out with a sore left wrist. Hope Dansby's feeling better. Hope that wrist problem will not be an issue. Hopefully we'll see him back in the lineup when Braves get back home. One more here in Tampa tomorrow, 4 with the Marlins, a makeup game in Chicago coming up on this trip. And that's down the right field line, and sliding catch made by Gomez, who had his man played perfectly. That saved extra bases and maybe a second Atlanta run. Nothing doing in the top of the fourth.
Action today. Luis Gohara coming back to the big leagues, outriding pitcher Luke Jackson. Talking to Snitker, he said that the long-term plan for him is to be a starter, but they're going to use him out of the pen right now. Long relief. He looked in great shape. The ankle not a problem. Guys, he's had a tough offseason with his father dying, but he said he's putting that behind him and moving forward. Back to you.
Thank you, Paul. Good to have Luis back, who has all the pitches. And it could be a big lift for Atlanta in long relief. Relief we hope won't be needed today as Sean Newcomb's dealing through 3 scoreless innings. Duffy, Ramos, and Robertson coming up for Tampa Bay, and it's quickly 2-0.
Both of these left-handers right around 50% on first pitch strikes too, which is unusual for both of them. Pretty low.
When Newcomb throws strike 1, opponents are hitting 149 against him. After he throws ball 1, they're hitting 300 against him.
Different. There's another good changeup though.
And he paints a fastball at 92 on the inside edge. He's battled back from a 2-0 count to Duffy, who walked in the opening inning. Swing and a miss. Duffy's down on strikes. That's 3 of them for Newcomb.
Love it. Went off speed, 3-2. It's really been his best pitch tonight. Boy, right at that back point of home plate. Tough to lay off. Beauty.
Newcomb's had 4 starts this year where he's allowed 2 earned runs or less, including that gem at New York on May the 2nd. 97 pitches and 7 innings of 2 hit, 8 strikeout ball. Chasing Wilson Ramos for the 2nd time. Ramos, the hottest Rays hitter. A 14-game hitting streak. 5 shy of the Rays' all-time franchise record of 19. Was reaching for that at 88. Look at where he put that ball to. The old down and away strike. Ramos could do absolutely nothing with that pitch. Right where Kurt wanted it.
Good late movement. Beauty. I think that the Rays win the award for biggest catchers. Jesus Sucre in the lineup doing the catching tonight is 230. Wilson Ramos listed at 260. That's a lot of catchers.
They might be a little light on both tallies too.
They might be.
Some big hombres down there, man. 2-2 pitch. Just missed, full count.
I know this, if you're on the Rays, you might want to get to the spread in a hurry.
Base is empty, 1 out, and he lost him. That's walk number 3, and that'll bring up Robertson, who walked his first and only time up. Frustrating thing about the walk to Robertson, he's 3 for 23 and 1 for his last 16. He's not swinging it very well. See if he can hit the ball on the ground at someone. And an excellent start to the sequence. Strike 1.
Yeah, good pitch. Good call by Kurt Suzuki. Drop that slow curve in there. Robertson runs well. He's tough to double up. Ramos has virtually no lead, so you don't have to worry about him.
Little pop. Ozzie on the run. He's streaking out to shallow right. Makes the catch over his shoulder. Throws back to first. Close play. And Ramos nearly doubled up on a short pop up to right field. Ozzie's looking into the Braves dugout to say, hey, we might want to take a look at this.
He must have gotten some help too from Nick Markakis about wheeling and throwing. Probably yelling first. And his good arm may have surprised Ramos.
So with 2 outs, Echeverria bats. He had an infield hit. Chopped off the turf. Charlie Culberson charged at third base, did all he could to make the play, but couldn't. And that's the only hit Tampa Bay has so far tonight. And a strike. Another changeup at 87.
Got away with that one. That one was up.
Beauty. He's pitching tonight, folks. Up and down, in and out, changing speeds, using all of his pitches. And now he's a strike away from moving along to the 5th. Ground ball right at Ozzie. He's got it. And that is the inning. No runs, no hits, a man left. Tampa Bay stranded 3 through 4. Still 1-0 Atlanta in game 1. Win $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today in the App Store or on MLB.com/BTS. 9-1-2 for Atlanta in the 5th. 1-0 Braves on an Acuna homer. Or as the Braves Twitter website so aptly called it here in St. Pete, Trop Acuna Field.
Oh,
after he launched one out of here in the 3rd inning.
I liked your first homer call on his. The Acuna Patata.
Oh,
that was lovely.
I have to break that out again. Maybe he'll do it tonight. Multi-homer game.
Yeah. He hasn't hit one in like 2 innings.
Yeah, it's overdue. And he's coming up 3rd. There's a good start for Charlie. He needed that. That's going to split the gap and roll to the wall. You called it a great triples park. Charlie's got a shot at one. Echeverria's relay is off target. Great start to the inning. Culberson with a 3-bagger. First triple is a Brave for Charlie Culberson. And the Braves an excellent chance to add on.
Good for you, Charlie. He's getting a few more at bats and making the most of it. And you can see that looked like a routine gapper, maybe a double, but on this turf it just keeps going, and it's a deep gap out there.
So let's see if Ozzie can make some contact. He's singled and lined out. Popped up. And And that's headed for the stands just out of reach. Gomez and the Tampa Bay bullpen.
Rays are averaging right around 14,000, a little more than 14,000 per date. There's probably more than that here tonight because the Braves are in town. You already heard from the Braves fans and when Acuna hit the homer.
Nothing in one for Ozzie. And out of play.
All of Florida was a huge Braves state back in the Superstation days, and when the Marlins came into play, I just remember how many fans, Braves fans, there were in that ballpark and how it disgusted the Marlins people.
We'll be seeing the Rays a lot in the years to come. I'll explain why. First, the 0-2 pitch. It's in the dirt and up the third base line. The Braves' new spring training facility is in Northport, Florida, and that's very close to Port Charlotte, which is where the Rays train. So I would assume that these two teams would match up a lot in spring training starting in 2020 when the Braves facility is ready to go.
That'll be such an advantage over where they are right now from a travel standpoint. I'm sure the facilities will be first rate, but it's sure going to cut down on the bus time.
Ball and 2 strikes. Way up and away. What a stop by Sucre.
Almost pulled his shoulder out of socket, hauling this one in. Quick as a cat.
Again, 2-2 for Albies. The pitch is caught on and missed. Ball in the dirt. He's going to make Sucre throw him out, and he did. So Ozzie can't make contact there, and now Acuna's coming up. And it was an Acuna patata, a most wonderful phrase back in the third inning.
Slider down and in. He didn't bury it like he wanted to, but it got buried. 434 feet. It's hard to see how the ball jumps at home on TV, but that ball jumped out of here.
This has got to be fun for the Rays infielders. They're in with 1 out, and Acuna hits it right to Echeverria on the first pitch. It pays off. It saved a second run for the moment as Acuna put it in play, but rolls out. And this is uncharacteristic of the Braves offense, although we did see some signs of this in the series with the Giants.
Yeah, Atlanta's been so good getting runners in, hitting with runners in scoring position, and really good with hitting in scoring position and 2 out, which they'll need right here with Freddie up.
Braves came in at .311 with runners in scoring position this year. And it's a lefty-lefty matchup with Freddie, who tomahawked a single his last time. This one's bounced over the mound. Echeverria at the second base bag. What a job by Snell. Runner at third, nobody out. The Braves can't get the ball out of the infield. Lower third in the bottom of the 5th inning coming up. 1-0 Braves lead it. East. Here it's 1-0 Atlanta. Braves let a golden opportunity to add on slip through their fingers a moment ago. Let's see if Newcomb can continue his excellent work. He has the 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up for the Devil Rays, or the Rays, I should say. Used to be the Devil Rays.
They're having some throwback unis this year, I believe, with the Devil Rays logo and hats.
That's in for a strike. And the count on the board here says a ball and 2 strikes. Out of play foul. First game in Devil Rays history, March 31st, 1998. They lost to the Tigers 11-6. As you see the ever popular Ray tank in right center field. Pitch. Out of play foul. Hall of Famers Ted Williams, Stan Musial, Al Lopez, and Monty Irvin threw out ceremonial first pitches.
No kidding.
And count here, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Back to the mound. Newcomb has been an excellent fielder. He takes care of the leadoff man, 1 man down. Wasn't a happy start for the Rays. They fell behind 11-0. First runs brought home by Wade Boggs, who hit a 2-run homer. And they left the tying run in the on-deck circle. Tampa native Luis Gonzalez hit the first home run in the history of Tropicana Field.
All right.
And then 1 day later, they picked up their first win, 11-8. Rolando Araujo earned the win. Fred McGriff had 3 hits. And 1,499 wins later, here we are in 2018.
Fred McGriff holds the team record for best on base percentage in April. 500.
Really?
Yeah. Because they were talking about Ramos having a good month and high on base percentage, and that was like 3rd in their history. And Fred McGriff has the first 2, and one of them was a 500 on base percentage.
Wow. 1-2 pitch. He is fouled away. Well, this is such a great baseball hotbed in the state of Florida. You know all about the talent that comes out of the state. And as we've shown you, they can win here, but it is a challenge. The Yankees and Red Sox perennially spending at the, shall we call, maximum before penalty limit.
Yeah, I'm told they have a good TV deal, regional package. The fans have proven that if you put a decent product on the field, they will come. We've seen, you and I both have seen that in postseason play.
Ref Snyder, a full count. Didn't get it. Boy, his changeup has been excellent too.
Yeah,
Curveball and changeup.
He hasn't been afraid to throw it either, Chip. That's what's great about it.
This is a different guy than we saw at the end of last year.
Sure is. This guy, Johnny Field, talk about a winner. He was a 5th round pick by Tampa Bay out of the University of Arizona. But before that, he went to Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas and won 4 state championships. Went to University of Arizona, won a Pac-12 batting title as a sophomore, and was a part of their World Series, College World Series championship. And now he's in the big leagues, 5'10", 190 pounds.
And 3 extra base hits against Toronto on Friday. And he's got a single here in the bottom of the 5th inning. That's only the 2nd Rays hit of the game, and the first since the 2nd inning, and that turns the lineup over to Carlos Gomez. And again, we talk a lot about this guy striking out. He's thinking about one thing right here, and that's putting Tampa Bay in front.
Pretty good piece of hitting there by Field. Rays signed him as a free agent. Gomez. We're told that he's been a real good influence in their clubhouse. A leader, and even when they were struggling out of the gate, he was trying to keep everybody propped up. So tip of the cap to him for that.
No balls and a strike. He has struck out swinging twice tonight. Both Newcomb and Snell have thrown a lot of pitches. Sean's thrown 93 of them, despite giving up only 2 hits. A lot of deep counts. He has not thrown strike 1 a lot. Best chance for the Rays to score was in the second. 2 on, nobody out. He got a double play ball and a bouncing ball to Freeman at first to end the inning. The Rays have had 2 base runners since. Told the Rays play kind of like a National League team, and that they're not afraid to bunt. They're also not afraid to steal bases. They've won 22 steals as a club.
I think they're in the top 5 in the American League in swipes.
The Braves as a team have 24. And that's off the plate. 2-1 the count. Of course, the challenge here, left-handed pitcher. This thing stays tight late. Might see some action on the base paths for both clubs. That already has a steal from Ozzie Albies. That came in the first. The 2-1 lifted on the infield. Who wants it? It'll be Johan Camargo. He's got it, and Newcomb pitches around a 2-out hit in the 5th inning. Nick Markakis leads off for Atlanta. It's 1-0 Braves thanks to an Acuna 3rd inning homer. What Albies, Freeman, and Markakis have done.
This includes tonight. 4th place now in home runs among that group. Pretty good work.
Leading 1-0 against Blake Snell. Markakis, Suzuki, and Bautista are coming up. Snell's thrown 86 pitches tonight, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. And he pumps over a quick strike 1 pitch.
Most pitches he's thrown in a game this year was April 10th, 114 against the White Sox. Most pitches by Newcomb against the Chicago Cubs, 109.
Two for Nick. Braves have left 5 men on base tonight. 2 of them in scoring position.
And you just hope that runner at third, nobody out that didn't score, doesn't come back to bite him.
And Albies at second with 1 out in the first. Well, there's a lot to like with this kid, isn't there? Just like Sean Newcomb. So excited to see young pitchers with great stuff have success. Way to go. He did not. Full count. I wish Tom Hallion, when he rings up a guy in a check swing at third base, would make his patented strike 3 call.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
I don't know if his back could take it.
Next work to full count. The pitch is lifted toward left. Ref Snyder got a good look at it. Makes the catch. And there's out number 1. So Nick is 0 for 3. Here's Kurt Suzuki. He's played pepper with Duffy at third base twice. Once on the ground, once on a line. Something else to keep an eye on as this game moves along through the middle innings. The Tampa Bay Rays play a ton of 1-run games. 16 of them. The Rays have played 16 1-run games this year of their 32. So half of them. They're 5-11 in 1-run games.
Their record could be a lot different, huh?
No balls at a strike for Suzuki. They've had 10 games where they have allowed 2 runs or less. They've won 4 of them. As action begins in the Rays pen, a little chopper hit toward Duffy again. Got the friendly hop. Crow hops and fires. 2 out. Fans, hope you'll stay tuned for the middle of the 7th inning. It's The Stretch, and it's brought to you tonight by your North Georgia Honda dealers.
That's turned into a good thing, that 7th inning stretch. A lot of good features, a lot of good baseball info.
We'll see what Jerome and Nick have on tap in a little bit. Still some work to be done here in the top of the 6th. Bautista didn't get it. Swing and a miss. And on the backswing, he got a piece of Sucre.
Because he's going to give him a chance to regroup. It was a pretty good comp. Oh, right on the arm. Thought he got the mask.
That's in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan Stanek is the man pitching in the Rays bullpen. As Bautista away to 1-1.
He'd like to get one of those sliders like Acuna got.
Popped him up. Shallow right. Gomez is there, and he hangs with it to make the play. 3 out, 3 down in the Atlanta 6th. Cron, Duffy, and Ramos are coming up. It's a 1-run game. John's delivery of the game.
Had a good fastball. He's had a good changeup. Got a little help on a double play ball here. But the changeup tonight has been the pitch. It has been a beauty. 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, but he's pitched around them. And running up his pitch count, maybe his last inning, he'd like to have a quick one.
Last 12 innings for Sean in the major leagues, 4 hits, no runs, 12 strikeouts. That'll play. And he's got the 2, 3, 4 hitters for Tampa Bay here in the 6th. Cron, Duffy, and Ramos. Cron's flat out twice. And a lot of late swings. That one to the screen evens the count. Ahead 1-2. Shane Carl's begun to play catch in the Braves bullpen down the left field line. Can't say enough about the job Shane Carl has done in relief for the Braves. 1 ball, 2 strikes, bases empty, and Cron didn't get it. 5 strikeouts for Newcomb.
And another one on the changeup. Beautifully placed. What a great weapon, huh, Birdie?
I like it a lot, guys, and I love how you're talking about it. I think of Newcomb, and he survived last year with primarily 2 pitches, fastball and a big curveball. The problem with 2 pitches as a starter is if one of those pitches is not on that particular day, it's really tough. So he has added a changeup with just really good action. It also makes his fastball better. So this is not an easy pitch to learn. He's learned it at a young age. I'm very excited.
Is it harder to learn, Paul, because he's a power guy? Is it hard, in other words, when you throw hard, to not throw hard?
It can be, but for whatever reason, just throwing a ball as hard as you can and gripping it with different fingers, usually not your index finger, it's usually off the ball. You'll scoot the ball off to the end fingers, or you'll spread your fingers, and just it's hard to throw all out and sell that motion, holding it with a different grip and hitting your spot. And I couldn't learn a very good one until I was around 30, 31. It's just a very difficult pitch to learn.
And that's why you're working with us now, right?
That's correct. If I could have only thrown it better, I could have been Bartolo Colon.
You might have been in the big leagues.
That's true.
You had a great career, Paul.
And starting another one with us at Fox, and we're delighted. Happy for you. Little check swing. That's bounced foul. For Matt Duffy, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Duffy's walked and struck out. In fact, Sean has 5 strikeouts tonight. 4 of the 5 strikeouts have been to the first 3 hitters. 1, 2, and 3 on the lineup card. So it's a good way to keep the opponents down. Pitch. Skipped up there, full. And Joe said Newcomb's pitch high this year, 109. He's about to make 106. And it's a beauty. He froze him. Duffy strikes out for the 2nd time. 2 away.
Guess what? I think he caught Duffy looking for that changeup, which he struck out on his last time up. And he got one at the knees, inside corner, and knew it. Got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
So here's Ramos. He's walked in, grounded out. 1-0 Atlanta. And now Ramos flails away. Lifted in the air to Acuna in left. And he measures it up and puts it away. What a job by Newcomb. 108 pitches through 6 shutout innings in the Sunshine State. 1-0 Atlanta leads it. shutout innings and allowing just 2 hits. Handshakes all around for him. Last 13 innings for Newcomb in the big leagues, 4 hits, no runs. As Atlanta could use some insurance here. Ender Inciarte will get it started. Snell back to work. And delivers outside, ball 1.
I'll go bunt on him.
Rays think he might do just that. They're into the corners. And slash out of play, even count. Told James Paxton of the Mariners has a no-hitter through 6 against Toronto. Paxton, I believe, is Canadian. Who's the last Canadian to throw a no-hitter against a Canadian team?
I don't know.
If
I
he
know
gets
this. He's the only lefty with a higher average velocity on his fastball than Snell. And this is the first start since his 16 strikeout game, isn't it? Or second anyway.
It's in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And way high. All help would be appreciated in a 1-0 game. Know about Ender. He's stolen 13 bases this year. Let's see if Snell can put him on here. Payoff pitch. On it off. Great catch up above to our left.
They've got a lot of the seats draped off here at Tropicana Field. The upper deck and out in left field as well.
Another 3-2. Strike 3. Ender was on his way to first base. But Snell threw a hook and Ender took it. He's victim number 5 via strikeout. 1 away.
Good pitch.
And that's going to be the last pitch of the game thrown by Blake Snell. 6 1/3 innings. A 4-hit ball, but one of the hits left the ballpark, and right now that's the difference in the game. Acuna hit it. Camargo coming up. 1-0 Atlanta with 1 out. Your North Georgia Honda dealers. More heat coming on to the hill for Tampa Bay. This is Ryan Stanek.
Yeah, he can bring it. 97 to 99 fastball, slider and a change. Out of the University of Arkansas.
And a first-round pick 5 years ago. named after Hall of Fame second baseman Ryne Sandberg, even though his family all huge Cardinals fans. Last year he became the third man named Ryne in Major League history. Ryne Stanek, Ryne Sandberg, and Ryne Duren, former All-Star pitcher.
Born in St. Louis.
If you're born in St. Louis and you're not a Cardinal fan, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. 2 balls and a strike. Base is empty for Camargo, and that's up and away. Ball 3. Walk would not hurt with 1 out. Culberson's on deck. Braves have had some chances tonight to add to this 1-0 lead.
This is Stanek's first appearance of the year. Last year appeared in some games, but the home run ball got the better of him.
Ripped back toward us, and just underneath. Full count for Johan now, batting left-handed, and he had it covered. Right behind our high home camera. At the screen, full count still. Swing and a miss. Camargo's retired. Back-to-back strikeouts begin the inning for the Braves bats. Stanek gets his first man. The swing and miss, 2 out.
Couldn't throw the fastball by him, so he took a little off and threw an 89-mile-an-hour changeup. Does that sound familiar? Got a swing and a miss.
Charlie Culberson led off the 5th with a triple. Albee struck out. Acuna grounded out with the infield in, and Freddie grounded out. So that opportunity was wasted. And a strike. One run, 4 hits for the Braves. No runs, 2 hits for Tampa Bay. A perfect pitcher's pitch. Do it again.
Got it up to 99 on that one.
Middle of the order coming up for the Rays in the bottom of the 7th inning. We'll have the stretch coming up. Hopefully after the Braves extend their lead. Now the 0-2. Swing and a miss. It got away. That's going to roll to the Braves on deck circle and into the camera well. So there's a break. Culberson strikes out but takes first on a ball in the dirt. And now Ozzie Albies is coming up, and you know he can hit anybody's fastball. Let's see what happens here.
Change up, and Sucre didn't do a very good job of remembering there was 2 strikes and needed to block it. Scored as a wild pitch, rightfully so, but Sucre did not do what he should have done.
So Ozzie 1 for 3, bats with 2 outs. Shift on for him, and that in the dirt. Another ball in the dirt. Sucre got to that one with a backhand.
I think Sucre feels a little fortunate about that one.
Charlie's running. A punt try, and Ozzie pops it into the seats. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Certainly bunting on his own.
One and 2. This is where it's been fun for Atlanta, innings 7, 8, and 9. They lead by a run thanks to an Acuna 3rd inning homer. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stanek ready. Charlie leads and runs. Pitch is strike 3 called, and that's the inning. So how about that? The Rays struck out 4 Atlanta hitters. They got to the 4th hitter because of a wild pitch. Atlanta has no luck in the 7th inning. It's 1-0 as we send it back to Atlanta. And the stretch, here's Jerome. And Ronald Acuna. Now it's up to the bullpen to preserve this lead, and that's our Zaxby's indescribably good play.
It took a while for the bullpen to get going, but they certainly have been better in recent days, as you see here over the last 8 road games. Outstanding work. Shane Carl, happy to see him out there, and no worse for the wear from that numbness he felt 2 outings ago in New York.
Denard Span grabs a bat. He'll hit to lead off the home 7th as Carl missed outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Span did not start tonight after terrific numbers against left-handed pitching, which Joe pointed out earlier. But he grabs a bat here in front of Echeverria, down 1-0. Span hitting .245, 3 for 4 as a pinch hitter. Played 9 full years in the major leagues. And he's ahead 2-0 from Carl, and now he's up 3-0.
Shane's done a good job of retiring the first hitter he faces. 12 out of 15, but behind 3-0, as you said.
Three balls, no strikes. There for Denard Span, who went to Tampa Catholic High School, won a state championship here in 2001. Used to come to Tropicana Field and watched Rocco Baldelli play. what a good player Rocco was.
He's with their staff now as a field coordinator.
3 balls and a strike. And ball 4. Braves. Shane Carl walks the tying run to start the 7th inning. As good as the Braves pen has been, walks are a concern. They've done a better job this month, but in a 1-run game, fast guy at first in front of Echeverria, so a lot of options here for the Rays offensively.
He was charged with a walk to that hitter that he faced in New York when he had to come out of the game. But aside from that, the walk you just saw was the first walk in 5 outings. Not good timing, though.
Echeverria digs in and was called on a check swing, a strike.
It looked like Phil was about to call the pitch a strike anyway.
He was, and then he pointed with his left hand to the hitter. Watch this. Raise the right way. Oh, go ahead and give him 2.
Yeah.
A 1 pitch. Little tapper might be 2. There's 1. There's 2.
Strong arm of the law at shortstop, folks. Johan getting a chance to show off his arm, and Albies knew it. He didn't wait to try and tag Span. He gave it to Johan to cut it loose. Woo! Ought to have a radar gun on that from 90 feet.
Beauty. Second double play turned by the Braves. Now Sucre hits with 2 outs. He hit with the first double play in the second. Backed away from that breaking ball to strike. One more, and then the Braves will bring Acuna, Freeman, and Markakis to the plate in the 8th. No balls, 2 strikes. Little roller hit towards short. Camargo's got it. Catcher running, and he's jogging to first, and Carl pitches around the leadoff walk. A double play and a ground out sends us to the 8th. 1-0 Atlanta. Leads off for Atlanta. He'll be followed by Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis. A little insurance wouldn't hurt. Braves lead 1-0 thanks to Acuna's 2-out solo home run in the 3rd inning. As Ronald strides to the plate, let's take a look at our Lowe's whole team together feature.
You might say he's really hammering the baseball. Braves as a team, National League ranks on the road. He and his teammates working it over. It's too bad they couldn't have carried a little of that home in that series against the San Francisco Giants, who promptly went to Philadelphia and got beat 11-0.
Ronald leads off. He takes a strike from Stanek, who's throwing hard. Rays struck out 4 Atlanta hitters in the 7th inning as Joey Wendell takes over at second. Bernard Span stays in the game. He's in left. One ball, one strike. Braves have left 6 on base in their first 7 tries tonight. And a roller foul makes it 1-2. Nobody on or out in the Atlanta 8th pitch. Stanek thought that was good enough. He was walking off, thinking he just picked up his 3rd strikeout. Excuse me, his 4th strikeout.
Well, he got a call borderline on the outside corner. If he'd called that one on the off the plate inside, Acuna might have had a little fit.
Mile high pop up. That one hit the gondola. That's in play. The ball drops. Acuna doesn't run. And now
that's a foul ball. It's a foul ball.
The tag at first. It's a foul ball.
If it hits the gondola in foul territory, doesn't matter where it comes down.
And on the ricochet, Echeverria is down to the turf. That ball hit him and bounced away. And Acuna's looking up at the sky as the ball ricocheted off the catwalks, came down. The entire infield converged. Nobody could catch it. And then eventually the ball was called foul. I couldn't tell which gondola it hit off of, or catwalk, I should say.
No, it bounced up off the turf and hit him in the face. If it hits any of these rings in foul territory, it does not matter where it comes down. It's a dead ball.
So Echeverria keeping your eye on the ball to an extreme. As Wendell, I think, was the man that picked up the ball and ran to the first base bag. Let the umpires make the decision, make the play, and if it's foul, it's foul. As Acuna saying, I've never seen anything like this before.
No, not too many people have. It is one of the, I don't know what you'd call it, one of the
quirks.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it. But having to deal with it, having to deal with those rings that help support the roof. Must have got hit in the eye.
That was a real hard short hop off that spongy turf. And Kevin Cash is looking into the Rays dugout. I don't know if Echeverria is going to be able to continue here.
Well, he was going down too.
Right.
So the force of his body going down, his head going down, and the ball coming up, that's a bad collision. Kevin Cash saying, come on, let's go. Get somebody else.
He's to his feet. He's now on his way to the dugout. Looks like Brad Miller's going to come on and make the defensive change. Yeah, there are 4 catwalks located above the playing surface here. The lowest is the D ring. Any fair ball that hits the lower 2 catwalks is a home run. Of course, ball to the outfield. A fair ball that hits one of the top 2 catwalks is in play. Any fair ball that stays on one of the top 2 catwalks is a ground rule double. A foul ball is dead. So Miller's going to check in and play second base. Wendell moves from second to short. So Acuna, with the craziest foul ball of his professional career, is going to get another chance here with a 2-2 count. Stanek didn't throw a single warm-up pitch during that delay, and a line drive headed toward left. It is foul. Sigh of relief for the Rays right-hander now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And way high. Last we heard, James Paxton had his no-hitter through 8. Versus Toronto.
What a place to earn a no-hitter.
In that park?
Yeah.
Full count pitch. Fly ball center. And a nice running catch by Field, who got a good jump. Good at bat by Acuna, but he's retired. 1 down. Even his outs are hard, folks. And loud, too. That home run had the sound. Here's Freddie. 15,382 in St. Pete tonight. And Freddie takes a strike. Didn't think so. A.J. Minter's in the Braves bullpen. Looks like he's going to come on for the bottom of the 8th inning. It's a 1-0 game. One ball, 1 strike. High pop fly. That's just underneath one of the catwalks. And out of play. If you're out and about and can't catch the game at home, you can always find it on Fox Sports Go. Log on to the app and click on the Braves matchup for that day. It's that easy. Check out Atlanta Braves baseball on Fox Sports Go. Brought to you by your Atlanta Hyundai dealers. Base is empty for Freddie. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He's got to go from 97, 98 to 87 on his off-speed pitch. That's a pretty good gap. Last year in the minor leagues, he struck out 60 in 44 innings.
Three and two.
Got called up, struck out 29 in 20 innings, but he also walked 12.
Here comes the 3-2 pitch. And Freddie takes ball 4. Well, history for James Paxton. He finishes off Toronto and has the no-hitter tonight.
Good for him.
And I'm told it's the 2nd time a Canadian-born pitcher has thrown a no-hitter. The first was Dick Fowler in 1945. Mariners now have 6 no-hitters in their franchise history, and it's their first ever away from either the Kingdome or Safeco Field.
How about that?
Here's Markakis. Nick 0 for 3. And a belt-high fastball of beauty.
And Nick hit a BB his first time up that would have driven in a run, but a great play by Robertson, who started the game at second. Made a diving catch to end the first.
Little pop, deep short. And in left, Span's going to make the play. And the Braves are down to their last 8th inning out. It's Kurt Suzuki who's 0 for 3.
Catcher Kurt Suzuki.
3 outs at third for the Braves catcher. See if he can find a hole between Duffy and Wendell now. Duffy guards the line in a 1-0 game.
Yeah, he just moved over a big step to his right. Love good matchups of hard throwers and good fastball hitters.
One ball, no strikes. Way outside, 3-0. Braves DH is Jose Bautista. He's waiting on deck. If Suzuki could reach, Braves would have an insurance runner in scoring position, leading by 1. Here comes the 3-0. It's ball 4. 2 walks in the inning. Well, let's see if Jose can be the designated hitter here. He's walked twice and popped out once.
Sorry, Chipper. An extra run would be so huge right now.
The Rays bullpen will spring into action again. Sucre will go to the mound and buy them some time. Is it our pal Johnny Vetters? It sure is. What a great story. Hope you enjoyed Paul's chat with him on Braves Live. Vetters getting ready in case the lineup gets down to Ender Inciarte, who's waiting on deck.
Talk about a bionic arm. Much work has been done on that elbow. Reacquainting himself with one of his old teammates.
You know, you don't have a heart if you aren't happy for Johnny Vetters and all that he's been through. 3.5 Tommy John surgeries, the way it was described, and all the way back to the major leagues. Just a great inspirational story of a man that just won't let that big league dream die, and good for him.
6 years in between big league pitches, was that right?
Something like that. Amazing. Wow. So here's Bautista after the meeting on the mound. 2 on, 2 out. And way high, ball 1. Outfield very deep, especially Span in left field with Bautista's pull power. If memory serves, Denard does not have the strongest of arms.
Does not.
So Freeman will have his track shoes on if Bautista can make contact to left. 1-0 pitch. Another fine stop by Sucre. Dangerous pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. And what a selection.
Yeah, I don't know if that was on Sucre or the pitcher, but a helmet high fastball. A fastball in the dirt, and he comes back 2-0 with an off-speed pitch. Pretty good call if it was by the catcher. Good idea when the fastball's all over the place. Also gave him a chance to catch it.
Now 2-1. 2-2. 97. And Bautista didn't think so. So you said fastball pitcher, fastball hitter. What gives on this 2-2 count?
Well, he finally threw his fastball for a strike. I don't expect him to throw one here 2-2. They got a pitch to waste.
There you go. He went around. Phil Cuzzy rings up Bautista at the plate. No appeal. And the Braves strand a couple of walks in the 8th inning. Braves got called out on a check swing in the first. Bautista rung up here in the 8th.
And rightfully so.
And that ends the inning. Bottom of the 8th, still 1-0. Paxton. As we go to the bottom of the 8th here in St. Pete. 1-0 Atlanta. A.J. Minter is on to face Joey Wendell. His first at bat of the game, and he didn't get it. Strike one.
Minter could use a good outing. His last time out against the Giants, he retired the first man, but then gave up hits to 3 of the next 4 batters. And Winkler had to come in and finish up the 9th inning.
It's up and away for Wendell. Ball 1, strike 1. Wendell originally taken by the Indians in the 6th round in 2012 out of Westchester University. But he's not the first Westchester U alum to make it to the big leagues. Play foul. John Mabry was the first, and a terrific hitter in his own right.
Dan Winkler's up behind Minter again, and I wonder if Minter's just in to get Wendell. Field is on deck.
One ball, 2 strikes. Roped into right. And Markakis is there. He froze for a moment. He caught the laser. Wendell hit it hard, but he's retired. 1 out.
Boy, that was a nice swing. Fortunately, he hit it right at somebody.
Here's Johnny Field. The Rays tonight have only 2 hits. Field has 1 of them. It came in his last at bat in the 5th inning.
Brian Snitker is going to stay with Minter.
One ball, no strikes. And back out of play, even count. AJ's throwing hard, as you know. He's got a lively arm, big fastball. That one at 95. If you like 95-mile-an-hour plus fastballs, this has been your game.
The pitch that's kind of eluded him lately, though, has been his cutter slash slider. He's not able to throw that for strikes in on right-handers, or close enough to a strike to get him to swing.
That one had some action. One ball, two strikes. Braves are trying to snap a 3-game losing streak tonight. Lead by the narrowest of margins, 1-0. Swing and a miss. Field is retired. 96 miles an hour and up. 2 men down.
Right on by.
So here's Gomez. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Line drive into right field on the first pitch. Gomez wasn't going to get to 2 strikes this time. He puts it in play and is aboard with 2 outs. And now Crone is the scheduled hitter, but he's not going to face Minter, who will retire 2 of the first 3 hitters he was assigned. So Dan Winkler is going to stride in from the Atlanta bullpen. Gomez aboard. He represents the tying run in the 8th.
And by SunTrust. Confidence starts here.
Greetings from St. Pete indeed, where the Braves lead 1-0 thanks to an Acuna homer and excellent pitching by Newcomb, Carl Minter, and we hope Dan Winkler is on for a critical righty-righty matchup here in the 8th. C.J. Crone is the hitter. And when you look at the stat line for Dan Winkler, Joe, this is an easy decision for Brian Snitker to bring him on.
No question. Take a look at this. Last 9 games, no hits, no runs, 2 and 11 over 7 1/3 innings.
And right-handers have had almost no chance against Winkler. They're 1 for 30 with 16 strikeouts, which we hope continues here. Way high, ball 1, strike 1 for C.J. Cron. And this guy's got power. 7 homers for Cron. That leads their club. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now he's ahead 1 and 2.
Dan's got a couple of choices here. He can try to waste a fastball up in the zone and see if he chases. Struck out back in the 6th inning against Newcomb. Or he can try to go with a breaking ball and get him to chase outside. He wants to go fastball.
And here comes the 1-2 pitch. Up the middle, and great play to keep it on the infield. Albies saved 90 feet on the bases. How in the world did he get to that rocket? But with 2 strikes, Cron keeps the inning alive. And the tying run in scoring position for Duffy with 2 out.
And it looked like he was able to bang on a pitch that was not even a strike. Up and away. The fact that it was up gave him a chance to get to it.
So here's Duffy. He's walked 1, struck out twice. And Winkler might have slipped as he let that ball go and got the swinging foul ball strike.
He's kicking dirt around on the slope of the mound before a pitch to Cron.
Hits are even 4 apiece. 1-0 Atlanta. Nearly hit him. Even count.
Remember last time up, Duffy was really guessing with Newcomb and came up short. Guessed wrong on a 3-2 pitch. Odd that his splits are so much better against right-handers.
So strength against strength here in the 8th. And again, Winkler ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Ozzie trying to get the attention of the dugout about it. They want him to stay there with 2 strikes on Duffy. He's playing him up the middle. Left side of the infield, really playing Duffy to pull. Culberson near the line.
Here it is. Strike 3 called inside corner. Winkler continues his great work against right-handed hitters. He just froze Duffy, who's got the hat trick, and the inning is over. Bottom part of the order for Atlanta, leading 1-0. Coming up. Baseball history brought to you by Geico. Look at that. Tony Kubek and Mickey Mantle interviewing Willie Mays and Henry Aaron at Candlestick Park. It was the first time in baseball history that two men with 600 or more homers homered in the same game. As the Braves beat the Giants May 8th, 1971. This day in baseball history brought to you by Geico.
Pretty good hitter standing there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well, here's an amazing, wonderful, outstanding story. Johnny Venters is back in the major leagues. And look at that. 3 games and a 0 ERA. And still able to throw 93 miles an hour after 3.5 Tommy John surgeries.
And you saw that ball running down and in. He's obviously still knows the grip on that turbo sinker he had.
There it is. Ground ball hit to second. And Inciarte jogs to first. He's retired, 1 out. (2010-2011) Johnny Venters was as good as it got. 164 appearances those 2 seasons for the Braves. He won 10 games. Struck out 189 men.
Boy, is that a long time.
Johnny still lives in the Atlanta area. And his wife Viviana, 2 sons, Wyatt and Walker. As that ball's hit to the right side, it's a race to the bag. High throw, dive, and out. Venters got to the bag ahead of Camargo, who tried to slide in safely, but he's out number 2. A dangerous throw from Crone to Venters, but Johnny made the play, 2 away.
Well, I hate the head first slide at first base. I know his effort was to try to get the base hit. The chance of injury so great, sliding head first into that bag. Venters still throwing as high as 94. Still has a pretty good and hard slider too.
Amazing, just amazing. I think it's safe to say that Johnny Venters is an early candidate for comeback player of the year in the American League.
No doubt.
Ground ball to second. He's going to get 3 groundouts with a good throw to first, and Johnny Venters continues his great scoreless run for Tampa Bay. Atlanta leads by a run, 1-0. 4, 5, and 6 coming up. Vizcaino coming in.
Best in-home Wi-Fi experience. Delta Airlines. And by your local Ford dealer.
Well, we thought tonight would be a pitcher's duel. It has been that and a whole lot more. Only 1 ball has left the park. It was by Ronald Acuna in the 3rd inning. Snell and Newcomb went toe-to-toe for 6 innings. In the battle of the bullpens, nobody's blinked yet. And Arodys Vizcaino needs 3 outs to preserve a 1-0 Atlanta victory.
3 saves in his last 4 outings. Good numbers over the last 9 or 10 outings. He's cut down on his walks.
First man he faces is Wilson Ramos, who has a 14-game hitting streak on the line with this at bat. Ramos is 0 for 2 with a walk. Span and Miller, the next 2 Tampa Bay hitters. Broken bat, base hit to left. Acuna plays it on 2 big hops, and the tying runs aboard, leading off the 9th. Let's see if the Rays pinch run for Ramos. One would think they would.
That wasn't a strike either. That open stance and a strong man able to get the bat there, even a broken bat.
So Ramos keeps his hitting streak alive. It's now at 15 games. And former Brave Malik Smith, who can fly, is going to pinch run.
Well, Malik's is always a threat to run. Sometimes when you least expect it. But he's having a heck of a year. He's hitting .330, and he's 8 out of 12 in stolen bases.
He tried to steal home the other day against Toronto with Cron in the batter's box and was thrown out by 10 feet. He's got a 10-foot-plus lead at first with nobody out in the 9th, and Span the hitter. And that one fouled off Suzuki's glove. Strike 1 for Denard Span. Span's 1 for 3 against Vizcaino head-to-head. That hit a triple. He entered the game in the 7th inning and walked. Was erased on a double play ball. Rays have turned 2 of those. They would love another chance here in the 9th. Very deliberate as he takes his stance, very Ryan Braun-like.
Yeah, he wants to let everybody know when he's going to be ready to play.
I don't know why somebody doesn't just quick pitch him. He's in the box. Game on. No balls and a strike. Another half step for Alex. He's chased back to bag. Not going, and the pitch foul back to the screen. It's 0-2.
Good job holding the runner and still able to concentrate on the hitter and throw strikes and get ahead 0-2.
Well, a strikeout would be nice. 8 Rays have been punched out in the game. 0-2. And again to first.
Not a good pitch to run on 0-2 because of the likelihood of a wasted pitch outside, easy to throw on. That might be just when Malik runs. You never know.
Not this time. It's a line drive. Caught. Throw to first. Double play. A leaping grab by Ozzie. Smith wanders too far off. He's doubled up, and the Braves are an out away.
Watch Ozzie as he comes down. He's caught the ball, but when he comes down, he's already getting his feet in a position to throw. It was kind of like turning a double play. He was already set once he caught it to get rid of it.
So here's Miller, the final hope. And listen to the Braves fans in Tampa. The pitch, way outside for Miller, 2-0. Don't walk him. The defense just made a great play behind you. Miller, a .233 hitter. Rays in another one-run game. On the short end so far, 1-0. Made him throw a strike, and Arodes did.
This guy never hit more than 11 homers in the big leagues. His entire career in the big leagues with Seattle. He comes to Tampa Bay and hits 30. Drove in 81 2 years ago.
30?
30.
Well, they just took a walk after the big double play, and now Sucre coming up. Again, the tying run aboard, this time with 2 outs.
He hit 30, and then the next year he hit 9.
Might want to call the bat manufacturer. Sucre 0 for 3, doesn't run well. 3 ground balls, including a double play. He does not have a homer this year. And all of a sudden, Vizcaino can't find the strike zone. Now it's his turn to paw and scrape and dig around the slope of the mound. One ball, no strikes.
Aimed that one. Chuck Hernandez going to go out and try to get him back on track.
He's looking at the mound. He's going to the rosin bag. He does not look at all comfortable on the bump here in the 9th inning. A hit, a line drive double play, a walk, and now it's 2-0 to Sucre.
Well, he got some work in 2 days ago, even though it wasn't a save situation against the Giants. An inning with zeros across. But he's only had 2 outings since May 1st.
Wendell is on deck. As Joe said, he put a beautiful swing on the ball in his lone at bat. Braves do not want to see him in the 9th tonight. 2-0. Late. It's a little more like it. 2-1. Are a strike away, and Sucre has seen his share of those while in the catcher's squat tonight. Pitcher's pitch, 2-2 the count. This is where the Braves want action.
Yeah, make a good pitch here.
Here it is. Out away.
Saved it. Ball. That was ball 3.
Another 2-2 count. Here it is. Popped up. Foul ground. Freeman long run near the stand. Slowing. He's there. He's got it. And the Braves hang on and win 1-0. The Braves' first 1-0 win on the road since April of 2014 against the Phillies. The 3-game losing streak is snapped, and what a performance by the kids tonight. Newcomb with 6 shutout innings. Acuna hits the homer. Carl, Minter, Winkler, and Vizcaino make that 1-run stand up. And Joe, the road trip is off to a very exciting start.
Woo, 1-0. I love them,
Yeah.
but only when they're over.
Yeah. 17th one-run game played by the Rays. They've lost 12 of them. Incredible. Braves have won 6 straight on the road. 1 was enough tonight. Atlanta beats the Tampa Bay Rays 1-0 your final score. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more coming up on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. For Paul Burton, Joe Simpson, and our great Fox Sports crew in St. Pete.